So we got really into Stranger Things.
We finished the last season that came out. It was very good.
Had a lot of feelings. And so we decided to do some fan art. And you did Vecna.
I did Vecna, which I did like Vecna as a villain. So my thing with Vecna is this. Vecna was very imposing as a villain when you couldn't see all of him at once. When you got pieces of Vecna, it's an issue I have with other horror things too. You experience the same thing with movies like Jeepers Creepers.
It's a top-heavy issue where a lot of detail gets put into the face.
Kevin Smith's Tusk.
Yeah.
Very well paced, poorly lit for a horror movie, and the more you see of a thing, the less scared you are of it because you know it.
Right.
So Vecna, the face I really liked, the shoulders I really liked, the one claw hand I really liked, and then when you saw full body Vecna, it was just a dude who skipped leg day. And all of the, like, oh no, just, like, went away. Because it was just a dude with super chicken legs.
I thought he looked scarier in kind of... When you see him in an in-between stage, I thought that was scary. But, yeah, when he's just closer up, he's very intimidating. Whenever you see him farther away, it's like, oh, that's the rest of him? Why does his crotch look like that?
If you do profiles, if you do in shadow, if you do highlighting pieces of him, like just highlighting like one eye on the side of the face with the goo, with like the flowing tendrils and stuff, that can look super scary. But when you show full body Vecna, it just looks like a guy who is awkwardly waiting for gym class to start. So I drew him in awkward 1980s gym shorts.
Yeah.
Because Vecna started out very scary, and at the end I was just like, I could bully Vecna. I would give Vecna a swirly. What the fuck are they gonna do?
Vecna needs, like, family therapy, and maybe, like, a pet.
I did appreciate, like, canonically, like, everything around Vecna. It's just seeing Vecna, like, walking around barefoot is just the antithesis to me of a scary creature.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a creature walking around, they should, like, there's a way that insects move, which are, like, bursts of movement, and it's alien and spooky. There's a way that the xenomorphs move, despite the fact that it's a man in a costume, like, because they've got the chicken walker legs, they move. Yeah, but just see him plodding around, like, a gymnasium floor.
I was thinking, like, Pan's Labyrinth. You know, that's a man in a suit.
Yeah.
But it works, because the legs are like goat legs, which makes the character even taller and lankier. I feel like if it had been something like that, it would have been a little more intimidating.
Given how seldomly Vecna has to walk around, if you just gave him, like, a mass of tendrils as legs, that would be spooky and otherworldly. I would be like, I do not want that thing coming after me down a dark hallway.
Yeah, you could kind of hover along.
When Vecna was shown in the beginning, when it was just like a shadow or a form that you saw in profile, or just a shot of the claws or the eyes, I was like, that's spooky as shit. As soon as you showed full Vecna, and this might be my privilege as like an over 6 foot tall, tattooed motherfucker, but as soon as you showed full Vecna, I was like, yeah, just punch that bitch.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's gonna go down like a sack of potatoes.
You actually made his one claw hand a little bit more extreme than it is in the show. I like yours better.
I based it off the show. It is... In the show, it's harder to tell.
Because you only see one hand at a time.
Yeah. So you don't get the comparison. But, like, I base it off the claw in the show. Like, his entire forearm is this mass of rising tentacles. And he's got... The thumb and the first 2 fingers are much larger with, like, this dollop claw mass on the front. But you only ever see it when he holds it up in front of someone's face. You never see the other hand, which is normal in comparison.
Yeah.
So you don't know that there's that asymmetry.
I do like the asymmetry. Well, there was another creature in Stranger Things in another season where it needed to be more asymmetrical because it wound up looking a little too, like, computered. You know what I mean? Think of the spider thing.
Well, the Demigorgon was very symmetrical.
Everything kind of was.
The spider was not. No, the big flesh spider thing?
Yeah.
Not symmetrical, because it has an odd number of legs. And then branching off of that is an odd number of legs.
Well, I thought each of the legs was too samey to the other legs, though.
I could see that.
That's what I mean, is it looked too inorganic. Yeah. I wanted it to be more different.
I could see that. I saw where they tried to make it different, to make it look alien and weird, but yeah.
It needed to be pushed a little bit
because
more.
Humans like symmetry, we tend to automatically make things symmetrical.
Yeah, but that's not spooky to me. That's not...
Yeah. So I did this whole thing, like, Vecna has this whole thing where it a lot depends on the lighting. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times he's in a nightmare scenario, so there's a lot of, like, deep red, orangey lighting. So I tried to keep that in mind. But I also wanted to keep to a primary color palette, so this part's based on red, and then there's parts that's based on yellow, and then obviously the shorts and eyes are a very bright blue. Mm-hmm. And here I'm just smudging it because it's not a clean thing. But he does have like the fish belly going on, and the edges of his limbs have like the deeper red, and then the in-betweens have paler. So very fish.
Is this you being in the background?
Yeah, this is me trying to figure out the background. And that was too stark, so I figured out another layer to put on top of that to make it like a little push back and darker. I also filled in the white here, because before I was relying on the background. And of course those stupid 1980s gym shorts had the white bars on everything.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they got rid of that by the time I was in high school. I would not fit in those gym shorts.
Tiny little short.
Especially that boxers were in style. Like, I had boxers that were longer than the shorts from the 1980s.
It would have been sticking out.
Yeah.
Doing a little shading.
Just adding some dark, doing some push. Not a whole lot, but it needed a little extra, like, shading.
Yeah. And this is obviously sped up, but this whole thing took you like an hour and something.
Yeah, this whole thing was like an hour, basically.
Yeah, which is reasonable.
You're saying it's reasonable because yours much longer?
We'll get to that. We'll get to what I did. What I spent
my life on. Will you be able to see your tool on yours? Is it just like watching an anthill over like a day in a minute?
It's a problem.
It's a problem?
It's a problem. I did what I could.
His fucking little chicken knees. He was so unthreatening. Like, if he didn't have knees, if his things were just like tendrils that like floated under him like legs, like he was in the practice of walking, that would be spooky. But seeing him just like plod into a gymnasium on prom night, it was just like, oh, fuck you, I could take you, you nerd.
You could have also had a snake tail for legs.
Yeah. So anyway, there's Vecna in his stupid little shorts.
And I did the Strange Boys.
Strange Boys.
Let's go super fast because I took 10.5 hours to do mine.
I mean, I've seen the results, so I'm not going to say it's not worth it.
I see things that I could have done better.
We always do.
Yeah, forever.
I had an hour, so I used an hour.
I had so much trouble with Dustin's face because I wanted him to be kind of tipped up, and he's sort of in a headlock, and so he's got to be smooshed, and it's not how a human skull wants to work. It's
a difficult age to draw because he is still very much a kid, but he is taking on adult features.
Yeah. Well, and the angle. So between the two, it was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, we've talked about that too, because watching this season, it's like, I turned to you several times and said it's weird that we saw these people as children.
Yeah.
And, like, we get that snapshot year to year of, like, they are no longer children. No. They aren't adults either.
No. And I was using reference, but, like, none of the references I had were actually making the expression I wanted to draw. Yeah, and I thought I was going to give them a hoodie, and then I went, actually, I'm going to give them all the same t-shirt instead. That's cuter to me. But yeah, I had lots and lots of references, and none of them were what I actually wanted, so I had to kind of mix and match and just make things up. A lot of this is me going, I've decided what he looks like, and...
Because you were looking at it just like you would stare at it for too long, and you were like, I can't tell what's wrong.
Specifically with Steve's nose.
Yeah.
I had a lot of problem with everybody's nose, as you'll see. And I had to draw Eddie's mouth separately, and then figure out where it actually goes on the head, which is why it's like on his cheek. And then angle it accordingly. Adjusting it. Yeah. Because I had so many specific wants and needs for these, and not the references. So I'm just making shit up.
Man, Eddie.
I felt very strongly for Eddie very quickly.
I really like Eddie. I see what they were doing with him. I wish they had done more.
I agree with that.
Without getting into spoilers, like, he definitely has an arc that they lay out very succinctly.
Yeah.
But I just wish that
he had more that they could have done with him.
Yeah.
I got super attached to him really, really fast because he reminded me of you.
I'm also a very, very sweet metal man.
Yeah, and you like Lord of the Rings, and you play musical instruments.
Yeah.
And you're a DM, and all these things that this character is. And I was like, oh, it's my husband. And
my family didn't have that much money.
Yeah, his uncle reminds me of your dad a lot. And it was just like, don't get attached to these characters. What are you doing?
I also did not have a good time in high school. I luckily didn't stay there any additional years.
Oh, and Eddie has like a million tattoos you never even see.
Mm-hmm.
So why does he have so many tattoos?
Well, he's been held back at least twice.
Yeah, no, he's supposed to be 19 or 20. But I don't mean like the character. I mean like, well, I guess the character. But they gave Eddie so many tattoos that you never actually see, but the actor had on his body.
I mean, if he was like me, I was doing poke and stick tattoos when I was 16. They didn't last because they were Bic penning.
I'm not saying it's not in character.
Yeah.
It is in character. But like at one point, really early on in the season, he's showing another character, like he's pulling down his shirt collar, and he's showing a chest tattoo. And you can't really see it because it's just for a second, and it has nothing to do with anything. But he has 2 chest tattoos, apparently. Because in looking up reference, I saw them. He's got a spider, he's got this like demon head thing, zombie head, whatever the hell. And then on his right arm he's got the bats, and then he's got another one that's like Master of Puppets situation, and then I think it's a dragon. And it's like, but why? You don't see any of this. I say as a person who has 3 back tattoos no one sees. Hands. Hands are hard.
A whole lot of hands.
And Steve wound up huge, but I think Steve actually is a little bigger than everybody else.
Steve is he's a beefcake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. And he's a little pushed back because he's behind Dustin. And I wasn't going to do any...
I really like the relationship that they... Like, Dustin has such a charisma to him.
Yeah. And the 2 other guys here are so attached to Dustin, which is why it had to be the 3 of them.
Yeah. I do know the actor who played Steve, like, his character, I think, was originally not supposed to last a season.
I think that's true.
You were supposed to hate him so much, but he's gone through such a redemption arc.
Yeah. Well, the actor who plays Eddie, the reason that he had to be the one playing Eddie is because he could do, right in the beginning when he's standing on the cafeteria tables, you don't hate him. He doesn't come across like an asshole. It's just like, alright, he's this guy you want to know, you want to be a part of his D&D group. But,
he's got a weird charisma to him.
Yeah. I like that a lot. All these characters I love. Too much. Too much and so much.
He's a nonconformist, but he's not an asshole.
Yeah.
He's not against, like, talking to and socializing and hanging out with people. He's just been, like, burned too many times.
Are you speaking from experience?
Maybe. I don't know.
God, you can see my palette while I'm trying to figure out what everybody should look like color-wise.
You do so good with, like, hair and skin.
Thank you. I try. And the posters are supposed to be sort of oversimplified versions of posters while still looking like the posters are supposed to be.
And they do.
And that I could have used a font. Instead I just hand wrote everything. But the posters were picked very specifically because of the characters involved.
Yeah.
Including having the Eddie character in Iron Maiden, since he's Eddie.
Yeah.
And it's Iron Maiden.
Reference the show made too, so.
Right. So.
Metallica for obvious plot reasons.
Yeah. And Bad Out of Hell for obvious plot reasons.
I did see a breakdown of when Master of Puppets came out.
Yeah.
Was 2 weeks previous.
Which means you would have had to learn that.
In between Dungeons and Dragons sessions and running from the police.
And everything else. He had to learn that whole...
He also had to learn, like, a not easy guitar part.
Yeah. Yeah. Which means that Eddie's, like, musical genius. And,
I believe it.
And Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell...
The best guitarists I've ever known were, like, trailer park kids who would just sit there with their guitar all day. Like, that's
true.
what they had, like...
the Bad Out of Hell poster, I was gonna do Bad Out of Hell 2 as well, and then I realized that came out in, like, the 90s. This would have been before the second Bad Out of Hell. There was a while in between the two
You had
albums.
two Bad Out of Hells, and then I pointed out that Iron Maiden was A, referenced in the show, and B, their very zombie mascot is named Eddie.
Yeah.
So it's got a couple of parallels.
Yeah. I had to darken up the background a little bit.
More shading, more shading.
More shadows. I also had to design the shirt. Because I didn't want to just copy-paste the shirt from something else. I wanted to just draw it myself.
You drew it. It looks real good.
Thank you. Mine has more teeth.
Getting more teeth is better.
So.
I like the way yours looks better.
Oh, thank you.
But it was the 80s. They didn't have Photoshop. They couldn't draw it twice.
And I was trying really hard to, like...
I really like the hard shadow you did on everything there.
Well, because the design in the show has that kind of inked whatever, so I tried to mimic that as best as I could.
Well, I think you should do more of that.
Thank you. Chain is bullshit.
I love and hate drawing chains.
I have trouble with chains, I have trouble with straight lines. There are a lot of things, iconography-wise, it was really... I can draw fire, not when it's like that. Drawing dice is not easy, because you're trying to figure out the angles of things. And then again, I wrote it out by hand instead of... I could have... I have fonts. I could have used a font. But I didn't.
You could have used a font, but you did it the hard way.
So those are the t-shirts.
Man, it looks so good.
Thank you.
Oh, that is so good.
Thank you. These are my Strange Boys. And I love them.
They're all okay.
See, they're all friends.
They're all friends. They're all okay.
And
everyone
Steve plays D&D now.
Everyone graduates.
And everybody's happy.
Yep. That's the headcanon we're going with. Is that they all just do a jam band thing.
In the comments below, tell us who your favorite character is in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And rock on.
Rock on.